up a dive. Feel the vibe, get ready to ignite. Untold stories in the airwaves, flying through the night. Experience voices, tales so bold. Streaming live, the truth unfolds. Untold Radio Network, where secrets come alive. New episodes daily, the mysteries thrive. Great guests, super chat, so I remember I share and subscribe. Join the side where truth can't hide. Aliens in the attic, UFOs in the sky. Cryptids lurking, oh my, oh my. Ghosts in the hallway, whispering your name. The paranormal, the unexplained. Become a VIP, get the inside scoop. Unlock the mysteries, be part of the group. Live streaming stories, they're talking to you. Super chats buzzing, join the crew. Untold Radio Network, where secrets come alive. New episodes daily, the mysteries thrive. Great guests, super chat, it's a wild member. Share and subscribe, join the side where truth can hide. So if you've got the guts and you want to explore, tune into the Untold, it's what you're looking for. From aliens to ghosts and all that's unseen. Untold Radio Network, where the world's mysteries convene.
Good morning, monsters, and welcome to this week's episode of Monsters on the Edge on the Untold Radio Network. I am your host, Barnaby, and today's show is pre-recorded. As things happen, our guest today cannot make it to a live show, so we are doing things pre-recorded. So please enjoy, and if we're ignoring your comments and questions in the section, we're not doing that. We're just not really here. Anyway, speaking of places that we are going to be, guys, Cryptids, Anomalies, and the Paranormal Society is still going to be May 18th in Rhinelander, Wisconsin at the Hodag Heritage Festival. We are also doing a Bigfoot expedition and hike that evening. So if you guys are interested in coming out and checking that out, you can get all the information at wisconsincaps.com and click on the public events page to get your tickets. The Marinette Menominee Bigfoot and Paranormal Convention, May 31st and 1st in Marinette, Wisconsin. Myself, Doug Hychek, Rich Daniels, and Chad Lewis are going to be there presenting, as well as Angela Zabel will be doing a psychic gallery reading that evening of June 1st. We are also taking an expedition out to the Hayden Adventure property to look for Bigfoot on May 31st. So get your tickets for that in advance, $15 or $20 at the door. Anywhere that you are, we also have virtual tickets available for just $5. You can hear all of the presentations live or whenever you have the chance to watch with a virtual ticket. And then, guys, June 8th, we are going to be in Chicago at the Chicago Paranormal Convention in Countryside, Illinois. So that's what we got coming up here, guys. It's going to be a lot of cool stuff. So If you guys want to show your support for all things here at the Untold Radio Network, here's how.
Hey, Untold Radio Network fans. Want exclusive perks and to support our channel? Introducing our YouTube membership program with 3 amazing levels. Get loyalty badges that level up to different cryptids the longer you're a supporter. How cool is that? You'll also get access to custom Bigfoot emojis and priority in chat. Upgrade to Backstage Pass for exclusive wallpapers, photos, status updates, discounted books, and merchandise. Go all in with the producer level for everything mentioned plus member shoutouts. Ready for an enhanced experience? Join now, pick your membership level, and let's make this journey even more exciting together.
All right, guys. Today, my guest is Alan Megargle. He is an award-winning filmmaker, lecturer, event organizer, paranormal investigator, and Bigfoot researcher. He has directed the films The Back 80, A Haunting in Blue Hill, Ghosts in Ghost Towns, and The Bigfoot Alien Connection Revealed. Alan co-stars in the paranormal adventure series Trails to the Unknown and is featured in the documentary Spiritual Bigfoot. He began conducting Bigfoot investigations with the Bigfoot Field Research Organization, the B.F.R.O, in his home state of Ohio over a decade ago. Now residing in Colorado, Alan continues his investigation and utilizes all of his experience to push the boundaries of Bigfoot research in his search for answers. Please welcome to the show, Alan. Alan, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Brian. Thanks for having me. This is great.
Awesome. Glad you could be here. So, we are here to talk about the Bigfoot alien connection, and you're also I just found out you have a brand new another documentary and book out recently as well. So we can definitely get into that. I want to know all about that. So
sure thing.
So my first question is, what came first, the documentary filmmaking or the research?
Oh, the research came first. Yeah, for sure. Well, I've been doing that since about 2009-ish or so. And then the first documentary came out in 2015. So we would have been filming in 2014. So came after that. I had the video camera and the desire for that whole time, but I mainly was doing a lot of audio, video, and recording the Ohio Bigfoot Conference so that we had that saved on tape back at the time. And they kind of morphed into filmmaking, and now that's sort of what I do.
Very cool. Very cool. That's kind of the same way we started with Caps here. I just started recording stuff, and we got evidence, and we're like, well, what do we do with it? And we just started making documentaries and episodes and YouTube, and it just kind of spiraled out from there. So I definitely get that. So very cool. So you have a lot of documentaries out. I put in the show notes. We were talking before the show here on YouTube and Tubi. You can watch all this stuff out there for free. I mean, and there's some really cool stuff. The Bigfoot Alien Connection, I got a chance to check out and watch today. And I think we're going to take a look at the trailer here real quick, and then we'll get into this.
All right.
Since humans first looked to the sky, we have wondered if there was other life out there.
So we proceeded to pick up the parts, that it was not a weather balloon, nor an aircraft, nor a missile. It was something else, which we didn't know what it was.
This is not new. What is new for mainstream science is a high probability that aliens are with us in the form of Bigfoot.
There's ample evidence that there are creatures that I will call Bigfoot here.
I think that we must turn to paraphysical or interdimensional considerations if we're going to fully understand their presence on Earth and their interactions with humans.
I mean, I was actually pretty blown away by watching this. The amount of people and Bigfoot researchers and just uh just a who's who of everybody was
Yep.
in this documentary, and it was, I mean, everybody from UFO people to Bigfoot people to Jim from our station here from the Sasquatch Outpost,
Yep.
and Joe from the Montana Vortex. And I mean, it was everybody's in this documentary. It was really cool, I gotta say. So very,
right,
very
thanks.
good work to you. Very good.
Yeah,
So
we this came out in 2019, and that's when we did most of the filming. And it was funny. This was the first real film I did with my father-in-law in his production company. I have my own production company. I do my own documentaries. That's why I have so many things on Tubi and Amazon right now. Is because we're kind of, two different things are coming out at the same time. But yeah, we just we had this idea, more so him than me. I came along for the ride and then got sucked into it along the way, and I loved what came out of it. But we went to one place, and then those people said, well, you got to go here, so we went there, and then they said you got to go here, and the next thing you know, everybody's in it. So it was all just sort of a coincidental chain of events that led to all of that happening, and it's pretty incredible to look back at it.
yeah, wow. So you're a Bigfoot researcher. We in your bio and stuff, you talk about being part of the B.F.R.O. and that. Where do you stand? Where let me ask you this. When you started doing the documentary before this, and you were just doing your research, where did you stand on Bigfoot being flesh and blood or interdimensional or extraterrestrial?
Sure. Yeah, I came up in the Ohio area. I did a lot of my investigating and I guess research, you'd call it, at the Salt Fork State Park, which is sort of the hub of all of Bigfoot in the Midwest and Ohio area, at least. I worked with the Ohio B.F.R.O. They kind of trained me, and I spent a lot of time being a B.F.R.O. member and taking reports and investigating and working with other investigators on their cases, and was very much in the school of thought of what they were, which was that we were looking for a primate of some kind. In all honesty, that's kind of what I wanted it to be. That's what we were looking for, the monster in the woods. But as I kind of got out to Colorado and working with some different people, and really opened my eyes to some other possibilities. And then I started having these experiences, and I can't say that I believe it's a missing link primate anymore, just because of the people I've talked to, the things I've seen, the experiences that I've had now some 6 years later since then. So yeah, it's been a wild ride, and I always tell people, I didn't want it to be this way. I really didn't. I didn't want it to be the strange stuff and the weird stuff and all this, but it is. I can't turn my back on it, because that's what happens when we go out and we start doing stuff. So.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, I mean, I've had a ton of experiences out in the woods as well, some things that I can't explain and everything. So, just devil's advocate, like when we're talking about this stuff, and people are seeing the orbs out in the woods, you talk about that in the documentary, and the lights in the treetops and all that stuff. Why do you think that this stuff is Bigfoot related and not just other phenomenon that's happening out there?
Again, it's a combination of a lot of different things, a lot of experiences, a lot of interviewing people. Basically, we started to understand. I say we, I'm referring to me and my father-in-law usually. That's Ron Myers, his name. That's sort of how my journey has gone with him. He's taken me all around the country, and I've been able to do this in 20 some different states now, and really get a feel for Bigfoot across the country. And we kept meeting people everywhere we went that had all these things happening all at the same time. I'm not sure if you've talked with Tobe Johnson before at the Owl Moon Lab in Oregon, but that was where it really started to make sense for me. We were working with a friend of mine, Tom Powell, who lives out there. He ended up sort of becoming our mentor through this whole process, and he was on the phone a lot, and we've been out several times to film with him, and he believed this for a long time. And I actually saw him speak at the Ohio Bigfoot Conference probably a decade ago, and that presentation still is in my head. So he's probably my favorite speaker that I've seen there. So to be able to, he made us breakfast at his house, and we slept in his guest room there, and we really camped out for a couple weekends there. So it was really an honor and a great thing to do that. But all these things are happening in these same places where you're having traditional Bigfoot activity, footprints and howls and things like that. But you're also having these other things happening in the sky, orbs and disembodied voices and things like that. So that really opened my eyes up to the fact that I'm a paranormal investigator. I've been doing that longer than Bigfoot, but I'm also a Bigfoot researcher. So for me, it was a chance to put it together, and that was kind of exciting. So now I have one kit, and it goes with me into the haunted house. It goes with me into the woods. It's the same equipment. We just bring it all, and it's come in handy when we've had experiences that have been measurable experiences with close interactions with these things. That produce unusual readings similar to what you might find on a paranormal ghost hunting TV show.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's one part in there where you're actually out at the Montana Vortex, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
You're taking readings and stuff, and you get just like was it the Geiger counter, right?
Yeah.
Goes off there, and that's really interesting because we do a lot of research for CAPS at the location called the Hayden Adventure in Upper Michigan, and we actually took a Geiger counter around the property there as well to different areas where there was like a potential stick structure, where a trail camera photo had been taken, and certain areas of the property where we believe that these creatures have been, and it was not a massively significant reading. But when you go from, like, let's say that your typical is what, like 10 15 on the meter, and you're going up to like 20 25, it's not radioactive by any means or any
Right.
high concentration of anything, but you do have these little spikes of radiation around these sites where you're getting that stuff. So
Yeah, and we've been using the magnetic meters too, sort of the electromagnetic and regular magnetic reading, and we've noticed anomalies in these areas. So after we did Bigfoot Alien Connection, that's kind of where my journey took a turn and started in this direction. Then we did a series called can't remember now, a Paranormal Highway, I believe. And we basically visited these different hotspots. We were in Wisconsin. We went to Bray Road.
mm-hmm.
Then we did some other things like that. And we were having these experiences happen in all these different places, and they were all different in their own way, but they all made sense, and they were all in a pattern that we could really start to put together. And then we started to realize that not only did we have these magnetic anomalies, if you used a thermal device, you could see these circular cold spots above these magnetic anomalies. So we started to think, maybe all this nonsense about interdimensional portals and all this stuff, maybe there's something to it. Maybe that's what we're looking at. So we started to go down that road and talk to people that had done a lot more homework on that, and showed them what we had, and they seemed to think that we were onto something. So we kept following that up until the recent film that just came out yesterday, I believe, The Secrets of Bradshaw Ranch, which is near Sedona, Arizona, where we really kind of hit a home run in some ways, and all of that stuff kind of came together.
All right. Well, let's keep rolling on this, and we'll come back to some of the other stuff here. So tell us about this.
One more little plug here too. So to really follow this whole journey up until this point, there was a lot of stuff that we didn't use in the series and in the film that kind of made the cutting room floor. And a lot of it had to do with my personal experiences. And though I felt very weird and insecure about putting that stuff out there, enough people were coming to us at conferences and things and wanting to know more. And I had these in my back pocket. So I made a film called Spiritual Bigfoot, which is all about those clips. It's my personal journey. There's things in there that I didn't really want people to know about. I did a session with a shaman up in the mountains here in the Rocky Mountains, where we made spiritual connections and things, and just oddball things that my father-in-law got me into. But some of them some semi against my will, but but those things happened, and I can't deny them. So they're out there now in that film, and you can see kind of my process and when I went through over this time period that we're talking about.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Like, there's a lot of stuff. I've done a lot of Estes sessions, and
Mhm.
for people that don't know, it's like a radio that you hear paranormal through it, pretty much.
Yeah.
And I would feel things or see things in my mind, and I wouldn't say them out loud because I'm thinking, oh, that's just me. I'm just making that stuff up. And the more that I've experienced it, and the more I've learned to trust those instincts, that this is something important, and putting that out there as a personal experience has been very validating, that this
Yep.
isn't just something that I'm portraying in my head or going along with, that it actually is something going on. So
Yeah. Yeah, and we've been using the spirit box in our Bigfoot research now. I don't know if that's what your application was, but we've had results. I mean, it's not always happens, but we've had these voices talk to us and give us direction while we're out in the middle of the woods. It's kind of unnerving, but cool.
we haven't used it actually for that yet. We've just started. I have mediums on my team,
Yeah.
and we do everything from paranormal to Bigfoot, and you name it, all that stuff. And we've just started kind of delving into taking them out into the woods, and asking them to communicate with their spirit guides and stuff, and
Yep.
directing us
Absolutely.
towards where we're going. Yeah.
That's the direction that we took. We actually, when I was mentioning being out of Tom Powell's house, he's been working with mediums for a long time. This is not anything new for him, but
Mhm.
he introduced us to a couple that he knew well, and we had a couple sessions at his house. He has actually a little Bigfoot hotspot right in his backyard, and I had a really profound experience with a medium there that opened my mind up to the possibility that um, not only are they there, but they're willing to interact or even maybe communicate at some point with us. They have a direct interest in our interest in them. I'm not quite sure how that circular relationship works, but we appear to be sort of helping each other in some way. So yeah, the mediums is really an interesting way to go, but it's been very exciting to have that other realm kind of explored a little bit more.
Mhm. Absolutely. So I want to back up here. I know we want to get into the Bradshaw Ranch stuff and that, and move forward here, but you were talking about going out to Bray Road. Now, did you get a chance to go to Lee Hample's property?
Yep, I did.
Okay.
Yep, we spent I think a couple nights filming out at Lee Hempel's property. Yeah, with
Very
Jay Berchoichin was out there with us.
Yep.
Yep,
Absolutely.
yep.
Yeah. So this hasn't aired on my YouTube channel yet, so this is coming out in July. But I'm gonna kind of do a little spoiler here, because something that you said ties into it. We did some filming out there with thermal drones, and you were talking about seeing these cold spots on thermal.
Yep.
And one of the things that we captured in our investigation is we were flying the thermal drone over Lee's property, and there is a round, hot circle that appeared in the field. And we actually send one of our investigators out to stand in the middle of this to see if there's anything there or anything going on, or if we can disrupt the heat signature. And it kind of shrunk and then
Hmm.
elongated into like a path, and then kind of directed our investigator along this path in the field.
Wow, doesn't
And
surprise me.
yeah, it's just really weird. And that, I wish, looking back at now with what you said there, that we would have taken, EMF readings of that location at the time. But
Yep.
yeah, it's very interesting that you brought that up.
Yeah, the other thing that's been inspirational to us too has been this Skinwalker Ranch TV show on History Channel. We our group kind of all separates and does some homework and watches it, and we get a lot of good ideas. But we've been out to the Phenomenon in Vernal, Utah, the last couple of years in a row, and the whole cast is out there, and it's like 30 minutes from Skinwalker Ranch. So we actually got a chance to talk with them off the record about some of these things. They have seen the Bradshaw Ranch film that just came out yesterday, and they provided some feedback. And we've actually been out to the perimeter of Skinwalker Ranch and done our own investigation from there that also yielded really fascinating results. And just the fall of last year, we kind of playing off the mediums, we took a remote viewer with us,
Mhm.
and we had her do a whole session. We told her nothing about what was going to happen, and she showed up at the perimeter Skinwalker Ranch, had no idea that's where she was heading, and she had it all figured out, already mapped out the whole evening. She had seen it all happen and knew where we were going, and she had pictures that she'd drawn hours before of things. And it was really pretty cool to see how that worked, because I've heard lots of stories about that, and I know there's some truth to that. We also got a chance to interview Colonel John Alexander, who worked with Robert Bigelow on the Skinwalker Ranch. He actually invited us out to his home in Las Vegas. So we got to sit down with him for a good part of a day in his living room and just talk about all of this stuff. And, that movie, The Men Who Stare at Goats,
Mhm.
about the government programs of using the mind and things. There's a character in that movie that represents him. Like that's the program that he was part of. So to be able to really get some candid interviews and off the record stuff from him was very insightful too. He confirmed most of what we were thinking. So
Very interesting. Yeah,
validation really helps in this.
absolutely. I got a chance to do an investigate. This is part of that same episode I was talking about that's not out yet, but I got to go out to the UFO Valley campground there.
Oh
And
yeah,
do
yeah.
the Mesa tour of Skinwalker Ranch, and then I got to investigate on their property, which is on the backside of the Skinwalker Mesa. So
Yeah,
that's
I've been up
become
through there a
more
little
stuff.
bit. I haven't stayed or done the tour, but we've been in there. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, so I know exactly where you're talking about. I've been out to Phenomicon and stuff, so definitely a
Yeah.
really cool time.
Yeah, I had a really weird situation out there that it's on video. I don't know that we have a project that it'll make it on. It's not been released yet, but we were doing a spirit box sort of REM pod session right on the perimeter, right by the fence there. Actually, Thomas Winterton gave us the GPS coordinates to get there. He's like, that's as close as you're going to get. So he sent us that. And on the video, my father-in-law said, ask for a craft to show itself. So I did. I said, there's a craft in the area. Can you show itself so we can see you? And then the next words I heard out of my mouth were, I feel weird. And then the next 20 minutes of the video, I don't remember at all. When I watched it, it was like I saw it for the first time. So something really strange happened, and I had like a good 20 minutes of complete time loss.
Yeah, that's interesting. You were talking about being at Lee Hample's with Jay Bachochin,
We
and
had that there too.
yeah, I don't know if that was your episode where maybe
Yeah,
then that was where he said
it
that
was.
he lost all that time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was such a
talk to him
bizarre
about it.
experience. We kind of separated. Ron and Lee went around this way, and then me and Jay decided to go around this way, and we were trying to get to over here. So we started cutting across the field, and all of a sudden he stops, like, turn the camera on, turn the camera on. I was like, okay. So I turned the camera on, and he just rambles on about nothing. And I was like, what was that about? And then he shines his laser on something, and I wasn't even sure what he was trying to show me with the laser. Like, none of it was making sense. And then we did our stuff, and we went out to dinner later that night. We went to like Mod Pizza or something like that. And when we were showing him the footage, he's like, I don't remember anything about any of that. Like the whole night was completely wiped. Him and Lee both had absolutely no recollection of any of that. It was very bizarre. And his behavior was bizarre. I knew something was going on.
Yeah, that's a weird area. I don't
Mhm.
know. Like
It is.
our first episode that we did from there, we've been out on Lee's property a couple times, and a couple years ago we released the first episode, and it's been our most popular episode on our YouTube. And now we have another one coming out in July, and it's even more insane stuff that we've captured out there this last time. So we
Yeah.
took a lot of the Skinwalker Ranch experiments and the Beyond Skinwalker Ranch stuff, and we went out there and did a lot of that kind of stuff, and
Yeah.
it's going to be really, really cool. But
They're onto something there with Skinwalker Ranch. They get sidetracked, and it's frustrating to watch. They're launching rockets all the time. It's like, all right, we got the point. But they're on, some of what they've done we've employed, and it's working. We recently got a signal or a frequency analyzer,
Mhm.
but we haven't put it to use yet. We've got it in our kit now, and the next outing we'll break that out. So we're looking forward to seeing what that yields. Maybe we can get the 1.2 gigahertz signal or whatever that is.
1.6.
Yeah, 1.6. Yeah.
Yep. We've done that as well, and we did that at Lee's property. So
Yeah.
you'll have to check that out when it comes out.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a lot of good luck at Jay's spot too in the Kettle Moraine.
Okay.
I had a pretty profound experience there too. So you've got some good stuff going on up there.
Wisconsin's a very weird place.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, we have to take a really quick break here for station identification, and we'll be right back.
Show your support for the Untold Radio Network family of shows and join in on the conversation by using super stickers and super chats on YouTube. Got a question you want answered? Ask it live via a super chat and get real-time responses from our show's knowledgeable hosts and guests. Help keep the Untold Radio Network shows running strong. We need your support. Send your super chats and stickers now.
Awesome, guys. We are back here with Alan, and want to remind everyone we are not live today. Today is going to be a pre-recorded episode. Alan has a day job and a life and stuff, and just can't come play with us.
Sorry, everyone.
Awesome. But so if we're ignoring your questions or comments, that's why. We're just pre-recorded. So where can people find you? Where can they get a hold of you if they do have any questions or want to reach out? And where can people watch this stuff? I know I linked, I told you all the Tubi stuff is most of your work on there, and that's all free. They can watch in the show notes. But where else can people find you?
Well, I always recommend going to Amazon. There's quite a few more things on there. If you search my name, you'll find most of that. You got to pay to rent there, but you get to watch without the commercials and everything. And being a filmmaker, I prefer that myself. So definitely check that out. You can check me out on Facebook just under my name, Alan Megargle. We also have a sort of a mega website you can get to. trailstotheunknown.com would probably be the easiest way to get to that, and that links to everything else that we do. We've got a lot going on.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good. Do you have any conventions or anything coming up that you're going to be speaking at or presenting? Or Yep.
We'll be at the Hastings. Well, it's not in Hastings this year, but the Nebraska Bigfoot Conference in Grand Isle, Nebraska. I believe that's the 26th of this month. We'll be at Bigfoot Days, which is the weekend before that, the 22nd, maybe 21st, which is in Estes Park, Colorado. We'll be showing one of our films there. The Bigfoot of Bailey, Colorado will be shown there. And then we have a new documentary, not a Bigfoot one. It's called A Haunting in Blue Hill. It's about these haunted items that were found by a friend of ours in this old 130-year-old farmhouse in Nebraska that he purchased. And the investigation that unfolded from there, and eventually we ended up back in his basement where he found these objects, and we made contact with the spirits in the house. So we'll be taking that on the road here, doing screenings in small theaters and things. We'll be in Denver on May 4th, I believe. No, May 4th or 5th. I can't remember the day. It's Friday in May, and then the next day in Cheyenne at the Atlas Theater. And then we're hoping to get it going in Hastings the day before the Bigfoot Conference. So that's kind of our little road show. You can find that at ahauntinginbluehill.com.
Very cool. Well, let's go on to talk a little bit about the Bradshaw Ranch stuff. So tell us a little bit about that. That's your newest thing that came out, and a little background of anybody that hasn't heard of Bradshaw Ranch and what it is.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's these series of what my father-in-law likes to call synchronicities that seem to happen where, like the Bigfoot alien connection is that exactly. You know, when we went to Big Bear Lake, California for the UFO convention, we got to interview Stan Freeman, Nick Pope, Rosemary Ellen Guiley. I mean, we hit the jackpot all within one day. We talked to all these people. So when we were looking for somewhere to go, I was talking with some friends back in Pennsylvania that I knew from when I lived in Ohio, trying to set up something to film with them, and that kind of fell through. The next thing you know, 2 weeks later, we're in Sedona, Arizona. Somebody through Jim Myers, who owns the Sasquatch Outpost in Bailey, Colorado, is a good friend of ours. He recommended we talk to someone from his team, and they had an experience out there. And next thing you know, we got in touch with all these people out there, and we ended up in Sedona. Basically, it's an old ranch that was owned by the Bradshaw family. It's about maybe on the outskirts of Sedona. It's probably 30 minutes or so from there to the dirt road, and then maybe another 30 minutes down the dirt road. But it's a pretty bumpy road down there. It's not like it's that far. And this ranch had been around for a long time. The Bradshaws owned it. They had an old movie set in the back where they used to film Westerns and stuff. They actually did an Elvis Presley Western there. And I don't know how many Westerns, but there's a whole movie set there. And then they have these primary buildings where there's sort of a utility building with a bar in there. I think they maybe had some sort of restaurant in there at one time. And then there's an old adobe homestead there. And sometime in I think the 80s or so, they came to understand that there was some sort of special connection to the Bradshaw Ranch property and the alternate universe, I guess, for lack of a better word. And they were seeing everything, still are. UFOs in the sky. There's apparitions and ghosts. There's Bigfoot creatures running around. There's other creatures roaming around. We actually saw these giant three-toed prints that I'd never seen before. It looked like a T-Rex or something. Maybe not that big, but a velociraptor tracks or something. I mean, so I don't know what makes those. I don't know what's going on out there, but it's this area very similar to Skinwalker Ranch that just has a little bit of everything going on. And it's developing quite a history. The Skinwalker Ranch people actually were out there. We made 2 visits, and in between those visits, actually Brandon Fogel and Thomas Winterton went out there and visited it, and they actually made an offer to buy the place, but the government owns it right now, so it's not really for sale. And they didn't have any luck, but there's a great interest in this property right now.
Wow, awesome, very interesting. So what is the book about? What is your documentary about?
Yeah, so we met with a gentleman named Jürgen Hess. He goes by the name Hoodoo Tall online. He lives out there now. He's now a local, and he moved out there because he's been researching this. So there's a man named Tom Dongo that's written books about it, and he's actually worked with Linda Bradshaw, who used to own the home before she passed away. And Tom has a whole lifetime of experiences out there in literature that he's written, and he's been sort of handing the reins off to Jürgen, and he kind of put us in contact with him. So we went out there with Jürgen, and the book and the film both, tell the story of what happened. The book goes into a little bit more detail. The movie's condensed a little bit more. In between these 2 houses, I guess, there's a little dirt road, not quite a driveway, more of a path. And in the middle of that path, there seems to be this anomalous area where a lot of people report having uneasy feelings and dizziness and even nausea and things. So when we were there, we happened to be there on our second visit with a couple mediums that were friends of ours. And the one medium started feeling that feeling right in that spot. So I got out all of our equipment. I have a tri-field meter, and I just walked up to her. In the spot she was standing at, the magnetic fluctuations were just 0 to off the charts. It was just wow, 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 back and forth, back and forth, back. So then I got our little handheld like FLIR, little thermal, and I backed up a little bit, and I pointed that in the air above that spot, and there's this cold circle just hovering right in that area, and in the middle of it there's this really hot dot, and the dot's jumping around. So we were really confused, like, what are we looking at here? So we brought that back to Colorado, and we showed it to a gentleman in Boulder, Colorado named Simeon Hine, who's been making a name for himself here recently as well. He's in the Flash of Beauty movie, the new Flash of Beauty movie. But he's I believe the founder or president of the Center for Consciousness in Boulder. So he's very into this remote viewing and things like that. PhD, very, very smart guy. He talks at a level that I don't understand. But he analyzes footage, and he said he believes what we filmed and what we captured is the essence of the interdimensional portal, and it was actually dark matter that we were catching, and the intense heat from that bouncing dot was creating that cold circle around it. So it was drawing all the heat in, and you could see the area where it had pulled the heat into a singular dot. So in his opinion, that's the spot, and that potentially is where things can come and go from this dimension.
Interesting. That makes a lot of sense. Why pulling it in and stuff with the energy in that.
Yeah. So interesting things that happened out there. I mean, there was a ton of them. We made a movie and a book, so it had to be good. But we on that day we all got very sick. After I finished there was some more to my story there, but after we finished that day, I was balled up in a corner in our hotel, just trying not to hurl all night long, just sick to my stomach, dizzy, couldn't stand up. So whatever's going on there, as Simeon told us, our biology doesn't agree with whatever's happening there. So there's an actual interaction with our chemistry that just doesn't work. But I actually had my first actual Bigfoot sighting at this ranch. The first trip that I was there, which would have been end of 22, fall of 2022. So we were in the Adobe house, and we were just working with Jurgen doing paranormal stuff. Basically, we were doing a spirit box session, had the REM pod set up, had a cameraman. He was over here filming me. I was kind of leaned over doing the spirit box session, and not much was happening. So Jurgen started asking questions, and in my mind, I thought, okay, he comes here all the time. Maybe they'll talk to him. They won't talk to me. So I stood up and kind of backed up to let him run the show. And as I did, I'm now looking straight out the window, probably 9:30, 10 o'clock at night in November. So it's pretty dark out, no moon that night. And I'm looking out the window and I'm like, what am I looking at? And it was this very, 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 very wide, dark figure, probably 20, 30 yards outside the window, just standing underneath these trees. I could just make out the outline of this thing. But it wasn't super tall, maybe under 6 foot probably. And I was trying to process in my head, why was it so big and not so tall? I couldn't understand. Something didn't add up to me. And I was just frozen staring at it. I couldn't even tell the cameraman to turn the camera 90 degrees and film it, because we could have, but I was just totally frozen. You can see he's still filming me, not knowing what's going on. So you can see me, I kind of look down and I'm blinking and looking again, like staring intensely. I'm just trying to refocus and understand what I'm looking at. And so the thing was directly in front of me, and then it was off to the left, but I didn't see it move. It was almost like I blinked and there it was. And then it happened again, and it was to the right, and then to the left, and then to the right, and then it disappeared. So the whole thing, I believe, you can tell that I'm seeing something, but so we have a timestamp. I think it's about a minute, 20 seconds or so. So it lasted quite a while where I'm just mesmerized. And when we watched the video later, there were these little orbs or balls of light that were coming from the window right into me through that whole exchange. And then right after it happens, and I kind of snap to him, I'm like, oh my God, you not believe what just happened. And I'm explaining it to the camera. So there's another window over here that you can kind of see from the camera angle. And as I'm talking, there's these two balls of light in the window. Now, I don't know if they were eyes, but they could have been. But as I was talking, I was like, yeah. And then I saw it kind of flicker, and you could see these lights sort of pulsating as in sync with what I'm saying, which was just completely bizarre. So then we get in the car and we're driving back, and I'm in the back seat with Jurgen, and I'm explaining him what it looked like. And he said, well, have you seen my photo that I took a few weeks ago? And I was like, no. So he brought up his phone, he showed me this photo, and I just started punching him in the arm like, oh my God, that's it. So the reason that it looked the way it did was it had the linebacker pose, which I've heard of this many times from being an investigator. It's hunched over, so its head is in front, not sitting on top. The head's in front. And Jurgen's photo captured it perfectly. Wide shoulders, huge head, the eyes are glowing because he had a flash. and the head sits in front of it. The thing is massive. I'm sure if it stood up tall, it would have been 7 feet. But it's just this massive thing, and I guess it's been around there, and people have seen it. They call it the big gal because it's clearly a woman from Jurgen's picture. And the other interesting thing is the photo that he took is if I would have looked out the door that we walked into, right outside is where that photo was taken. So, I mean, you're talking 50 yards from where I saw it is where that photo was taken.
Wow. That's crazy. There's so much synchronicities and weird stuff going on here because, again, while you're talking there, I think it was about a week or two ago, one of my friends sent me a documentary on Hoodoo Tall.
Yeah.
And I haven't gotten a chance to watch it yet. And so now when you're talking, I'm like, that sounds familiar. I have this thing over here that I need to watch. And now I'm trying to figure out like what the connection is there. And it's just,
he's amazing. He's really great. His videos are great. And he's a good friend now. We're bonded for life after what happened out there. So I would go into battle with him any day. He's a great resource.
Wow, very cool. Very cool. I will definitely have to check that out. And
yeah,
I'm gonna check out the Bradshaw Ranch thing too, because like I said, I'm really into all that and all that stuff too. So.
Well, one other thing I want to bring up because we were kind of talking about it. So that night after we got the thermal of the circle and everything, I put one of my trail cams up before we left for the day, because we were out during the day for that, pointing right at that area. And then we came back later that night and did our investigation, and then I took the trail cam and left. So we looked at the trail cam footage, and in the frame, there's the old adobe house, and there's a windmill in the background, and you can see a pyramid of light the whole time. Like every shot has this pyramid of light in the shape of this almost dome, and you can actually see the transition on the adobe house. You can see where it's lighter and darker. And the very first clip that we have, there are just thousands of these little orbs rushing out of this pyramid towards the camera, and right in front of the camera is this tall grass. And you can see zero movement in that grass. There's absolutely no wind. We weren't even at the ranch at this point. So all this stuff, little orbs or light or energy or whatever, coming out of this, what could be the portal we're looking at. And then we did our whole investigation, and we had a wild night, which you'll see in the movie, The Mysteries of Bradshaw Ranch. And then the last clip on the trail camera is all of those dots, those little balls of light going back into the portal, going the other way, and still the grass is completely still, no wind or anything like that. So just really bizarre anomalies that just I cannot explain at all.
Weird. You had me going there for a second. I thought we did from Lee Hample's property as well. We have a trail camera picture, which is where I was thinking this was going to go, but our van was parked right in the middle of the property. We have security cameras all around it, and we had some weird stuff happen where all the electrical in the van, we have backups and backup batteries and stuff running all of our equipment, and everything went down. Like it drained every battery we had in there.
Yep.
And when it did this, we had an obelisk there, and we said, are you doing this? And it says as aggression.
Oh, really?
And so we pack up our stuff and we left that night. But on the trail camera that's behind the van, there's like at an angle what looks like a black kind of line in the picture. Actually, it's white. I'm sorry, it's white in our picture. And then we're like, well, it kind of looks like a UFO or something, like parked behind the van. And then it was either season 2 or season 3 of Skinwalker Ranch, and they're flying the helicopter over the triangle, and they have the same thing that's this black disc that's underneath the helicopter, and it looks
Yeah.
just like the thing in our picture.
Oh,
And you're
wow.
like, we put out trail cameras, and I'm like, oh man, if you got that little black line disc thing,
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
So
we did while that was going on, we did capture a UAP in the sky. It was in several of our camera angles in the background. We didn't even notice it until we got back and were watching it. But it was sort of just moving around the property for a good long while we were there. And then just as we tore down and we were heading out, a helicopter flew overhead. And we're like, interesting. Yeah. So I did have at Lee Hempel's property, I did have one really weird thing with electronics. I had a new video camera. It was a nice Canon Pro video camera. This was my second outing with it. And we were filming at Lee has a little hotspot of his own on the property in the woods there off to the, if you're going into the field, it's off to the right there, his little hotspot area. So we were concentrating on that because we were getting some EMF readings and things in there. And I did a little filming. I captured some sort of little eye shine creature or something that was there. And we don't know where it came from. We don't know where it went, but I captured on a video. And then I turned my video camera off and it wouldn't turn off. Like the switch is off. The red light's beeping. It's still, blinking. It's still recording. I had to pull the battery. It wouldn't turn off.
it corrupted an SD card in one of my GoPros while we were out there.
Yeah.
It killed one of my IR security cameras. So the IR won't turn on or off anymore. It just stays off. So it won't film at night anymore. Yeah, that was all the first time that we were out there. That's the episode that's online. And we had a lot of interesting stuff this past time as well with thermal and other things happen. So
yeah, I would love to go back there. Lee was great. He's a great host. He's got some awesome evidence there, and his property is really cool. And he let me drive the go-kart. So, and I had a blast out there. He took us on a hay ride through the, on the wagon back through there. Yeah, he's great.
It's so weird though, looking at that, because we took aerial photography and stuff of it, and it's just a big open field. It looks like a football field. There's no trees, no nothing. It's just a hay field, and it's just weird.
It is weird stuff happens there, and he's got great stuff. He wouldn't let us share it, but he showed it. And some of the photos he wouldn't give us permission, but it's like, wow, I wish we could give that to people, because there's good stuff there. UFOs. He's got pictures of the dog man and all kinds of good stuff. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we've seen it. Yeah.
Very cool.
Oh, absolutely. All right, man. Well, so we're getting to the end here, and I want to talk more about the whole Bigfoot alien connection, because that's where we started with this whole thing. And so what do you think this is? Do you think that with all the stuff that you've researched and places that you've gone and everything we've talked about, do you think that these Bigfoot are interdimensional or extraterrestrial or flesh and blood? Or are they flesh and blood when they're here and they come from some? What is your opinion now, looking at this topic and phenomenon?
Yeah. So I want to preface this by saying I thought it was a big ape. So I've been wrong before. I've evolved, and this is where I am now. I don't know where I'm heading, but the evolution over the last several years has been dramatic. So it could keep going in that direction. But so currently, after everything that's said and done, where I sit here today, I would say that all of it, Bigfoot, aliens, UFOs, ghosts, demons, whatever. I think it's all either the same thing or similar things. I think there's a really high probability that they're interdimensional. They can be, especially like a Bigfoot, can be physical in this realm, but can also go away. We've seen footprints just start in the middle of a field and end in the middle of a field, and where do they go? Something doesn't just jump down from the sky and jump back into the sky, or does it? Maybe that's what this is. So I think that's probably what we're looking at. That's where our evidence has taken us, is that there's either abilities or areas where there are these doors or windows into another dimension that these things live.
Now, let me ask you this on this topic. Do you think that the creatures that you're calling Bigfoots in this instance, where that they're interdimensional and can appear and stuff, do you think that those are Bigfoot, or do you think that there's something else like a tulpa or another being that is presenting itself as a Bigfoot, and we're having two completely different things, where there is a completely flesh and blood animal that exists, and then there's something else that's portraying itself as these creatures that is giving it the supernatural abilities?
Okay, well, to dissect that question a little bit, I would say, is it possible that it's something else? I think that's, yeah, I think what it is, I'm not sure. I think it can probably manifest itself in many different ways, and I'm not sure how it chooses which one to display. Do I think it's separate from a maybe actual flesh and blood Bigfoot creature roaming around? No, I don't. The evidence that I've seen does not point me in that direction any longer. I'm actually I'm kind of done with collecting footprints and all those things, because I just feel like we need to look beyond that now. Okay, we know it's there. I've talked to enough people. I've had enough experiences. I've seen enough footprints. Okay, I get it. It's there. But what is it, and what is it doing? What's it want with us? That's what I'm more interested in. So I don't necessarily go collect Bigfoot evidence anymore. I'm looking for these personal, which they are, very personal, very unique experiences that are for me. And I call those contact experiences, and however they come, I take them. And then I try to make sense of them later. So that's kind of where I am right now, is I think it's all connected, and I don't know what it means, but I have theories on that too. I mean, I feel like for me, I'm now anyway, I'm on a path, I'm on a trajectory. There's some sort of guidance that I'm receiving. We used to turn the camera on, and anything that was happening would immediately stop. And now we go somewhere and we turn the camera on and everything starts. So it whatever I'm doing, it seems to like it, and it seems to be pushing me in the direction that I'm going. I'm not, like I mentioned before, I'm not really driving this train. It's going in a direction I don't want it to go, but I'm on it, and I'm accepting whatever I'm given, and this is what I'm given, and I can only speak to what I've seen and the people that I've met along the way. And a lot more people are coming to this conclusion, and one might even say, my friend Tom Powell put this in my head, if you do this long enough, I think you get to this conclusion. One of the last people we interviewed last year was Ron Moorhead from the Sierra Sounds, and he took the same journey as me. He thought I just captured the elusive Bigfoot ape on audio. And now he's like, crap, what were they trying to say to me? Because they were clearly talking to me, and they're clearly not from here. And he has a complete new perspective on it, because if you do follow it and you have an open mind and you don't close things down and dismiss things, this is where it seems to take people.
Very interesting. Absolutely. That's so cool. Where are you going next, man? Where you're on your path, and this, just, I was gonna say, just watching the stuff that I have, we were talking about how one thing led to another and another, and so
yeah.
I know that's a very hard question to answer, but
the way things work for us is we get tips, we get people that want us to come, we get people who want us to talk to other people, and we follow up on everything. And we get a dozen people that say, you got to come out to my place and you got to experience this for yourself. And one or two come through, and that's where we go. So we've got that now. We're talking to quite a few people. We do not have a project in mind per se, because it's so hard when this happens like this to even say what the next project will be. We go, we film, and then we figure out how to make it into a movie, because that's just how it goes right now. So we've had 3 or 4 things fall through here recently. We've got 2 or 3 more on the books that we're discussing, and then we're heading to the Nebraska Bigfoot Conference in a few weeks, and that's yielded us connections in the past. So who knows? But I think the one I'm hoping comes through is heading back down to Arkansas, down to the Ozarks, going back to Board Camp Crystal Mine, and then we have another location down there where they got it all: Bigfoot, UFOs, ghosts, everything is happening all at once, and that's where I belong, is in those places.
The as John Keel put it, the window areas.
Yeah, it feels like that too. It really does. When you're there, it's just you get there and you settle in, and all of a sudden it's like you're not on this planet anymore. It just has a whole different feel, and things happen that shouldn't happen.
Absolutely. I know what you're talking about.
Lee's place is one of them.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And just down the road, if you haven't been there, the Burlington Woods is the Burlington Vortex, and we have had everything from UFOs to fairy creatures, Bigfoot, shamans, you name it. It is a very weird woods, and it's about 20 minutes away, not even from Lee Hamples.
Wow.
So
yeah, I didn't know that. Like I said, we've evolved quite a bit since then. So some stuff's on the radar that wasn't before. So yeah, you never know. I'm coming to your state eventually, I'm sure.
Well, let me know.
Wherever you are, I'll be there.
Awesome, man. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on. It's been absolutely amazing talking to you. You got so much information, and we'll have to share some stuff, and I'll have to send you a clip of that thermal video I got.
Yeah, for sure. And check out the Bradshaw Ranch movie when you get a chance. I think you'll really like it. And then who knows, maybe we can figure out how to do a live stream in the future and get some people and other questions in here, because I'm sure people have a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't think we would have time for questions beyond my own. So
Hey, it was great talking to you, though. I really appreciate it. This was fun.
Absolutely, man. Thank you very much. Take care.
Yep.
All right, guys, that is our show for this week here on Monsters on the Edge. Tune in again Thursday. We will be back at 10 o'clock in the morning, live with Sky Chen on the Paranormal Spectrum coming up. And then next week on Monsters on the Edge, we have Nathan Couch will be on the show. So that's what we got coming up here. So until next time, guys.